Okay, now we start with the basic part that whenever we talk about sources, okay, sources is something without which history can never be written. History written इसी के basis पे बनता है. We have two category of sources. We have literary and the archaeological sources. Whenever we see literary sources in itself can be divided into indigenous as well as foreign sources. If you see indigenous, these are written in various languages including our Sanskrit. Like whenever we talk about Vedas, Puranas, they are mostly written in which language? Sanskrit. Then we have Pali, the Buddhist sources are mostly written in Pali. Prakrit, if we talk about the Jaina, so they are written in Prakrit or Ardh Magdi, which is a form of Prakrit. And if we go to Tamil Nadu, they are written in Tamil language. So various languages, okay, in which the indigenous sources can be found. If we see foreign sources, the foreign sources can be seen from Chinese, Greek as well as Arabic. Various travelers have come to India and they have given a lot of information about it. If we see archaeological remains can be divided into multiple parts, which may include coins, inscription as well as structural remain. What is the meaning of structural remains? Okay, so let us just try to understand it. So whenever somebody says structural remains, it means whatever houses were created by them, okay, it means human skeletons, tools which were created by the human beings, pottery, flora, fauna, everything which we can see, it becomes a part of structural remains. So that's why structural remains, it's a very overall broader category word which you can utilize whenever you write about archaeological sources, because अब हर किसी का नाम लिखने का logic exam में होता नहीं. That's why we use the word directly, that we have major sources that we have from the archaeology. तो major sources हमारे कौन से रहते हैं? Major sources are always inscription and coins, and along with that we have the structural remains. जैसे हड़प्पा है, हड़प्पा के केस में structural remains include everything. The urbanization है, houses हैं, roads हैं, all of this is part of structural remains. Now when we see specifically archaeology, the first part, okay, so archaeology has various dimensions. Like first one is coins, as we already understood. Then we have inscription. Inscription can be found on rock edict, like we see that of Ashoka. And it can also be found in the temple wall, like we see in the case of Cholas. Lots of inscription are found on temple walls. It can also be on the metal pillar, like we have Mehroli, right? So Allahabad pillar. So lots of such, they are the pillars. Then there can be various monuments also which can provide us information about history, right? Like we have, if we go towards south, so we have Thirumalai, Naikar Mahal, or just basic अगर देखोगे तो if we see Taj Mahal is also provide information about the architectural history of Mughal India. Then we have, like in Vellore, we have forts. Similarly, we have forts in different parts of India. They provided information about the specific dynasties. Temples, like in Tanjore, we have Brideshwara temple, which provide information about which kind of temple style? Dravidian style of architecture. Stupa, Sanchi, Bharhut, Amravati, and monasteries like Tablang, or if we go towards northeast, or if we go towards Ladakh area, so lots of monasteries are there which provide us information. So whenever somebody says archaeology, archaeology is a very wide term which includes the study of coins, the study of inscriptions, study of monuments, as well as any kind of artifacts which are linked to human, like the creation of potteries, various kinds of toys, tools, as well as ornaments. So archaeology, it's a very wide area. से कोई लिमिट ही नहीं है. whatever we can eventually understand on the basis of previous generations, हम कोशिश करते हैं. Literary sources on the other around are relatively simple, क्योंकि categorization हम कर सकते हैं easily on the basis of languages or on the basis of indigenous or foreign accounts. But archaeology, it's very dynamic, it's very wide in nature, and all of us need to have a basic idea about it, because lots of questions they come from the topic of sources, literary sources, archaeological sources. So we should have clear idea about it. Now when we were talking about stratigraphy, अभी NCERT में बहुत अच्छे से इन्होंने दिया हुआ है. Stratigraphy is more like at same place there can be multiple settlements, है ना, कि एक एज में फर्स्ट बार सेटलमेंट हुआ, then that went down, then again the settlement. So in this way 4, 3, 2, 1, these settlements may belong to different टाइम पीरियड, लाइक जैसे कि अगर हम एग्जांपल लें, दिस में बिलोंग टू पैलियोलिथिक, दिस में बिलोंग टू मेसोलिथिक, नियोलिथिक, और दिस में बिलोंग टू chalcolithic. So this is what stratigraphy is. So all the artifacts which are going to be found at the first level, they may belong to similar culture, but those which belong to the second level, they should not be confused with the first level. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि ऐसा हुआ था इनफैक्ट इन द केस ऑफ हड़प्पा. जॉन मार्शल, ही वाज गोइंग फॉर वेरियस काइंड्स ऑफ स्टडीज. सो व्हाट ही वाज डूइंग, एक जगह पे वर्टिकल डिगिंग शुरू कर दिया. इफ यू गो फॉर वर्टिकल एक्सकवेशन, व्हाट इज गोइंग टू हैपन, यू विल फाइंड वेरियस काइंड्स ऑफ ऑब्जेक्ट विच मे बिलोंग टू डिफरेंट कल्चर एरिया. सो दैट्स वाई बहुत ज्यादा मेहनत का काम होता है, बहुत तरीके से करना पड़ता है. दैट्स वाई आर्कियोलॉजी इट्स नॉट दैट मच इजी, बिकॉज ऑल द इंफॉर्मेशन दैट वी हैव, इट मे गेट लॉस्ट इफ वी गो फॉर द wrong approach, and that is something which used to happen previously. That's why you need to understand, and इन्हीं को हम बोलते हैं स्ट्रेटिग्राफी, कि हम डिफरेंट लेयर्स को उसके हिसाब से पढ़ना चाहिए, उसके कंटेक्स्ट में हम उसको एक्सप्लेन करना चाहिए, राइट. This is given in the NCERT very well. Now, if we see coins, okay, coins are something which are very important with respect to understanding, and the study is known as numismatic. If we briefly discuss coins, their history. So in India, the history starts with the categories of coins which are known as punch marked coins. These punch marked coins, they start from 6th century BC, 6th or 5th century. Okay, this is the beginning. Punch marked means various shapes, size like elephant, crescent, hills, different kinds of shapes, they were marked on the coins. This is the beginning of punch marked. After that, we eventually go towards Indo-Greeks, because it was the Indo-Greek who brought different kinds of innovation in the coin making, which includes portrait of a king for the first time, use of dates. Okay, so all such things came only with the Indo-Greeks, and they were also the first one to introduce gold coins in India. These punch marked coins, they were only made of two metals, silver and copper. They provide information about the gold coins, right. Thereafter we have Kushans. Kushan provide us maximum number of gold coins till that time. Later on they will be increased later on by the Guptas. One important distinction is the purest gold coins in India, they belong to Kushans. उन्हीं को belong करते हैं, उनके अलावा किसी को नहीं belong करते हैं. Then thereafter, if we see about coins, Kushans also issued copper coins on large scale. After Kushan, the major innovation go to Guptas. Maximum number of gold coin in overall Indian history, they goes to Guptas in ancient history. In terms of aesthetic sense, they are unparalleled. Nobody has been able to reach their level. किसी ने उनके level touch नहीं किया आज तक. That is what the Guptas are known for. After Guptas, there is paucity of coinage. We'll take this debate later on. But in general, the number of coins, they decline. We see some decline of trade and commerce. Along with that, we have Satavahanas also, that we should know. Satavahanas is one of the only dynasty to issue lead coins. So when we discuss about coins, okay, एक चीज बहुत clear होनी चाहिए आपको. Coins provide a lot of importance, okay, with respect to economic history of India. जैसे अगर आज हम बात करते हैं इंडिया की इकोनॉमी की, है ना, इंडिया की इकोनॉमी का अगर हम बात करें तो कॉइन से हम क्या क्या पता कर सकते हैं. लाइक इफ वी सी अ सर्टेन वैल्यू ऑफ मनी इन सर्कुलेशन, इट गिव्स अ लॉट ऑफ आइडिया अबाउट व्हाट कुड बी पोटेंशियल इंडियाज जीडीपी, कि इंडिया में कितना स्पेसिफिक कॉइन्स आज की डेट में सर्कुलेट. कॉइन्स मींस द करेंसी ऑल्सो, है ना, आपकी पेपर करेंसी को भी हम इंक्लूड कर रहे हैं, बिकॉज इन दोज टाइम पेपर करेंसी वर नॉट यूटिलाइज, पर आज हम करेंगे तो उसको भी हम इंक्लूड कर लेंगे. So in general, what kind of things can be interpreted on the basis of coinage? क्या क्या चीज हम बता सकते हैं? So we can have some understanding of economic history. We can easily understand the level of usage, okay, कि metals कितना use हो रहा है for the creation of coins. We can easily understand about the level of trade. you can specifically know about monetary history, कितने number of coins issues हो रहे हैं by the king, which also talks about their strength. Okay, we can know about political history also, like in the case of Indo-Greeks, they were telling about the names of the kings, they were giving dates also. So chronology can also be formed on the basis of coinage. They also provide some circumstantial evidence with respect to territorial extent, but this is not always going to be correct. Like if we see a specific territorial extent of Mauryas और उसमें अगर coinage भी distributed है, well distributed, it means कि उसको हमने verify कर लिया, but this is not always correct. Why? Because अगर मान लो इंडिया की करेंसी अगर यूएस में, that doesn't mean कि यूएसए was under India's control. That is not going to be there. But in general, circumstantial evidence की तरह हम इसको utilize कर सकते हैं. So coinage are very very important with respect to building history of ancient India. Dynasties like Guptas, गुप्ता की पूरी chronology किस basis पे है? Coinage के basis पे है. ठीक है? If we see these Indo-Greek, Shakas, Kushanas, their whole history again is on the basis of coinage. They do not have much inscription. They have next to nil. उनका कोई literary source भी इतना कोई important नहीं है with respect to information. That's why lot of information it comes on the basis of numismatics. So since there was nothing like the banking system in ancient times, people kept money in the earthenware, also in brass vessel, and maintained them as precious hoards on which they could fall back in the times of need. Our earliest coins have some few symbols, but later coins mention the name of kings, gods, dates. The areas where they're found indicate the region of their circulation, like you've seen. This has enabled us to reconstruct the history of several ruling dynasties. Some of the dynasties they're not even known by any other source. जैसे कि हम नागास का देखते हैं, नागास आर ओनली नोन बाय देयर कॉइन्स, सिर्फ कॉइन से पता चलता है उनके बारे में. दे थ्रो कंसिडरेबल लाइट ऑन इकोनॉमिक हिस्ट्री, जस्ट लाइक वी हैव डिस्कस. देखो एनसीईआरटी में क्या होता है, जैसे मैंने आपको जो चीज डिस्कस करी सारी एक जगह नहीं होती है, वो फैली हुई है, तो आप सारी चीजों को एक जगह मर्ज करिएगा तो बस थोड़ा सा ही एलिमेंट्स निकलेगा. तो कॉइनेज इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. Similarly, it's about inscriptions. So whenever we use the word inscription, we should always be aware that the study is known as epigraphy, because UPSC can use any terms, inscription also, epigraphy, in making questions. They can be carved on seals, stone pillars, rock, copper plate, temple, walls, bricks, or even images. Mostly जो भी inscription होते हैं, they're on a hard surface. Okay. In the country as a whole, the earliest inscription were recorded on stone. Now, when it comes to inscriptions in India, the earliest inscription they belongs to which civilization? Harappa. They belong to them, but there is only one problem: they have not been deciphered so far. So, depending upon the question, you should be aware about the statement. The earliest inscription deciphered so far, they were issued by Ashoka in the 3rd century BC. So, you should know. जैसे हमने coins में देखा, earliest coins they belong to 6th century BC. Okay, while if we talk about inscription, inscription may go back to 2nd or 3rd millennium जब हम हड़प्पा की बात करते हैं तो. Okay, however if we see with respect to decipherment, तो decipherment जो है वो अशोका के टाइम पे फिर से आगे आ जाता है. तो it depends upon the question. कभी भी प्रीलिम्स में देखो क्वेश्चन ऐसे ही अटपटे आते हैं और वो आपसे यही गलतियां कराना चाहते हैं. ठीक है, आप जल्दबाजी में आंसर टिक कर दो कोई भी, तो आप ध्यान रखेंगे बिकॉज एनसीईआरटी से ही ऐसे क्वेश्चन बनते हैं. Then one of the most important part with respect to inscription is the decipherment. अगर उनको decipher नहीं कर पाएंगे, it's going to be a very problematic thing for us. So जो सबसे important है, that is about deciphering Brahmi. सबसे बड़ा रोल उसमें किसने किया था? James Princip. He was able to decipher the Ashokan inscription in 1838, and this is how eventually we came to know about one of the most important chapters of India's ancient history. Before this, there used to be a kind of interpretation, because the word which was used was Devanam Piyadasi. There used to be best that person, the king was from Sri Lanka, Devanam Piyadasi. But once we were able to understand नहीं कि Devanam Piyadasi हमारे अशोक ही हैं, ठीक है, then we realized this was the Mauryan Empire. That's why decipherment का इतना ज़्यादा important है. Without that, there is no value of that inscription itself for us as a source of history, because everything looks plain and simple. It doesn't make much sense. Okay, so we were able to do this. So that's why deciphering the inscription is very very important. Otherwise, it makes no sense. Like if you see, this is an Ashoka inscription on a pillar, and then eventually how the Ashokan Brahmi with the Devanagari equivalent it was brought in, and once this was brought in, eventually we were able to get the maximum value with respect to decipherment. Then even though inscriptions has lots of positives, just like coins, okay, just like coins, they also tell us about various forms of history. Like if we see political history, if we see Ashokan inscription, if we see Samudragupta's inscription, so they provide a lot of information about political history. They talk about even military history. If we see Samudragupta, the information that he provided is about military also. It also tells us about various kinds of administration. Like if we see Uttaramarur inscription, which is from which area? From Tamil Nadu. So Uttaramarur inscription, it talks about local self-governance. So lots of inscriptions are there which provide us about political history, economic history, even cultural history. They provide information about it. But still these inscriptions have certain limitations, and we should be always aware about it, right? Like number one, letters are very faintly engraved and thus reconstructions are uncertain. पता ही नहीं चलता उन चीज़ों का. Inscription may be damaged, letter may be missing. It is not always easy to be sure about the exact meaning of the words used in inscription, some of which may be specific to a particular place or time, जो आज use भी नहीं हो रहा हो जो words. Although several thousand inscriptions have been discovered, not all have been deciphered, published and translated. This is the biggest limitations of inscription. ये आप ध्यान रखना. यूपीएससी ऐसे कई क्वेश्चन पूछ चुकी है पीवाईक्यूज में कि इवन दो इंस्क्रिप्शन के बारे में कि व्हाट इज द इम्पोर्टेंस एंड चैलेंजेस. तो ये सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज है. If we go towards South India, there are more than 50,000 inscriptions which are pending. उनको अभी तक हमने फाइनली आउट ही नहीं किया है, क्योंकि सारी चीज प्रोसेस कंप्लीट ही नहीं हुआ. डिसाइफरमेंट, पब्लिशिंग एज वेल एज ट्रांसलेशन किसी न किसी लेवल पर रुका हुआ है. एंड दैट इज द बिगेस्ट चैलेंज व्हेन वी यूज द inscriptions. Beside, many inscriptions may have existed which have not survived the ravages of the time. And there is another perhaps more fundamental problem. Not everything that we consider politically or economically significant was necessarily recorded in the inscription. Inscription किसने दिया? Inscription mostly they are linked to the kings and the queens, and few of them they are linked to the merchants. However, what about the routine agricultural practices, joys and sorrows of daily existence, because they are not mentioned in the inscription. So that's why archaeology can never give us connected history. कहानी नहीं बता सकती वो कभी भी, है ना. वो हमें कुछ instances बता सकती है, but it can never tell us the whole story. Like we have Ehol inscription. Ehol inscription tell us about the fight which was there between the Pulkesin II and Harshvardhana. उसकी कहानी समझाती है हमें. But to what extent that is correct or incorrect, we do not know. What happened in the battle, we do not know. So that's whole story, because inscriptions are always relatively shorter in nature. That is a big limitation that we have of inscriptions. Okay, now these are the questions which are asked by UPSC, okay, in the PYQ. तो जब भी आप पढ़ते हो थोड़ा सा पढ़ सकते हो, मैंने कहा आंसर लिखना है, पर सोचो कि do you agree that archaeological evidence often help in the better understanding of literary sources? Art and culture are reflected to a far greater extent than political history in the epigraphic sources. Reconstruction of early Indian history is hardly possible without the help of inscription and coins discussed. The third question is very straightforward, and this can easily be written कि क्या हमारे positives हैं of coins, क्या हमारे positives हैं of inscription. We have to give some examples and we can write the third one. The first two requires a little bit of more study, और तब हम उसका आंसर ठीक से कर पाएंगे. So you can think about attempting the third question. थोड़ा सा लिख के देख सकते हैं.
Hi, a very good evening to all of you. I'm Vikas Elawat. I'm a former civil servant. I was able to crack UPSC twice. In fact, in 2018, I was able to get highest marks in history optional, and they were around 324. So this year, I'm coming up with a series which I am calling Self-Study History Optional. इस series में 100 से ज़्यादा वीडियो होने वाले हैं, which are going to cover the different nuances of ancient, medieval, modern as well as world history. So those of you who are preparing for 2025, register करिए and try to get the maximum out of this specific initiative of ours. So at Prep Career IAS, we are producing results from last many years. 2023 में बहुत सारे टॉपर्स हमारे इंस्टीट्यूट से थे. 2022, 21 हर साल बहुत अच्छे टॉपर्स यहाँ से निकले हैं, and they have been able to get very good marks in history optional. So those of you who are thinking कि यार start करके कितना कर पाएंगे कितना नहीं कर पाएंगे, we already have achievements with us. I was able to achieve, my students are achieving, and you can be the next. इन सेशंस में क्या होने वाला है? नंबर 1, विल बी फोकसिंग ऑन फाउंडेशन ऑफ बेसिक कंसेप्ट्स, स्टार्टिंग फ्रॉम व्हाट इज हिस्ट्री, व्हाट इज हिस्टोरिकल पीरियड, व्हाट इज प्रोटो हिस्ट्री, व्हाट इज प्री हिस्ट्री, बेसिक लेवल. ओके. सेकंड, अलाइनमेंट विद यूपीएससी सिलेबस. जितना भी हिस्ट्री ऑप्शनल का सिलेबस है वो 51 पार्ट्स में डिवाइडेड है. सो वी आर गोइंग टू अलाइन ईच एंड एवरी कंसेप्ट विद द सिलेबस इटसेल्फ. Number 3, we're going to focus on answer writing. All of you know कि जो मेंस है वो ऑब्जेक्टिव नहीं होता है, वो सब्जेक्टिव लेवल पे होता है और आप सब लोगों को आंसर राइटिंग सीखना शुरू करना पड़ेगा, है ना. वी डू नॉट हैव टू मच ऑफ टाइम, तो स्टार्टिंग से ही आंसर राइटिंग शुरू करेंगे. एंड नंबर 4, द ओवरऑल पैकेज इज़ वेरी हॉलिस्टिक इन नेचर. तो अगर आप इसको अच्छे से कर लेते हैं तो जो बेसिक लेवल फाउंडेशन हिस्ट्री ऑप्शनल की वो कंप्लीट हो जाएगी. यू आर गोइंग टू गेट मैनी इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग्स अलॉन्ग विद दिस. ओके, 100+ सेशन है, चारों पार्ट कवर होंगे. थीम वाइज सेग्रीगेटेड डायग्राम, फ्लो चार्ट, जितने भी इंपॉर्टेंट एनसीईआरटी हैं. देखो, अगर हम सारी एनसीईआरटी को कंबाइन कर दें, एंशिएंट, मिडेवल, मॉडर्न वर्ल्ड ऑफ वेरियस बोर्ड्स ऑफ इंडिया, तो 25 से 26 एनसीईआरटी निकल के आती हैं. उन सबको हमने कोहेरेंट फॉर्म में डिज़ाइन किया है सो दैट यू कैन लर्न द बेस्ट फ्रॉम दैट. ओके, बिकॉज देखो हिस्ट्री में रिसर्चेस चलती रहती हैं. अभी तमिलनाडु की जो एनसीईआरटीज़ हैं, दे आर मोर इंपॉर्टेंट इन कंपेरिजन टू द रीसेंट हिस्ट्री देन द प्रीवियस हिस्ट्री, जो कि आर.एस. शर्मा वगैरह, सतीश चंद्रा या फिर बिपिन चंद्रा ने लिखी हैं. दैट्स वाई वी आर कवरिंग ऑल द एनसीईआरटीज़ एंड दैट्स वाई 100+ सेशंस हो जा रहे हैं टोटल मिला के. देन 30+ वैल्यू एडेड आपको डॉक्यूमेंट मिलने वाले हैं. डेडिकेटेड आंसर राइटिंग सेशन मिलेंगे. जूम सेशंस भी करेंगे बाद में, ताकि आप लोगों की जितने भी डाउट्स हों विद रिस्पेक्ट टू लर्निंग दे कुड बी सॉल्व्ड. ओवरऑल जो है आपको क्लास की पीपीटीज मिलेंगी, कंसेप्ट लिस्ट मिलेगा, पीवाईक्यूज, जितने भी पीवाईक्यूज हैं उनको अच्छे से हमने डिज़ाइन कर दिया ताकि आप सब उनको अच्छे से पढ़ सकें. माइंड मैप मिलेंगे पूरे सिलेबस के, वर्कबुक और लर्निंग असाइनमेंट्स मिलेंगे एंड सेल्फ असेसमेंट टेस्ट, सो दैट वंस यू लर्न समथिंग तो साथ में उसको एटलीस्ट इवेल्युएट भी करना चाहिए ना, कि भाई हमें कुछ समझ में आया भी है, नहीं आया, एटलीस्ट जितना रिक्वायर्ड है वहाँ तक पहुँचे हैं या फिर नहीं पहुँचे हैं. तो आपको करना क्या है, वॉट वी नीड टू डू दैट, सबसे पहले आप रजिस्टर कर लीजिए. ठीक है, आपको एक स्पेसिफिक गूगल शीट मिलेगा, उसमें आप रजिस्टर कर लीजिए. देन एज ऑल ऑफ अस अंडरस्टैंड, हर किसी के पास लिमिटेड स्लॉट्स हैं, तो आपको एक स्पेसिफिक कॉल आएगा एंड दैट इज समथिंग विच वी आर कॉलिंग एट स्क्रीनिंग प्रोसेस. बिकॉज अगर हमें आपको ये सारी सर्विसेज प्रोवाइड करनी है, द नंबर ऑफ स्टूडेंट्स विच वी कैन हेल्प दे आर ऑलवेज लिमिटेड इन नेचर. सो अकेडमिक काउंसलर इज गोइंग टू कॉल यू, दे गोइंग टू हेल्प यू और दे गोइंग टू अंडरस्टैंड आपकी रिक्वायरमेंट क्या है. हो सकता है आप कॉलेज के फर्स्ट ईयर में हो, सेकेंड ईयर में हो, थर्ड ईयर में हो, और यू मे हैव ऑलरेडी प्रिपेयर्ड फॉर सम टाइम एंड यू आर नॉट गेटिंग द डिजायर्ड रिजल्ट. तो इसलिए हमें स्क्रीनिंग प्रोसेस चाहिए होगा. एंड फाइनली ऑन द basis of this, you're going to get the benefit of this program.